You know, every single piece of shiny gold jewelry you've ever seen, it might be hiding a pretty deadly secret. For centuries, getting gold out of the ground has involved a really powerful poison. So today, we're going to dive into that secret and explore how scientists solve this massive problem with an incredibly clever and much safer method.
So, what is this secret? And how can we get beautiful gold without, risking lives and wrecking the environment? Well, the answer lies in a brilliant chemical design that solves a challenge that's been around for centuries. Let's start with the problem itself.
All right, let's meet the villain of our story, cyanide. Now, when it comes to dissolving gold, this stuff is unbelievably efficient. I mean, that's why the gold industry has relied on it for decades. But, and this is a big but, that efficiency comes at a terrifying cost. The risk is just huge, a massive threat to both the environment and human life. In fact, the United Nations even classifies it as a hazardous chemical that needs strict control. So you can see why scientists were so desperate to find a replacement. So how toxic is it really? Well, a lethal dose is just 1 to 2 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Okay, to put that in perspective, we're talking about an amount the size of a single grain of salt. That's it. That's all it takes. Just imagine the risks of using this stuff on an industrial scale. To really understand how this poison works, we need to go on an expedition deep inside the human body. We're going to investigate what scientists call the microscopic crime scene. Okay, I want you to think of every single cell in your body as a tiny factory. And inside each of those factories are thousands of microscopic engines running 24/7, producing all the energy you need to live. And it's these tiny engines that cyanide targets. So how do these engines normally work? It's a pretty simple 3-step process. An enzyme grabs electrons from your food, passes them to the oxygen you're breathing, and that reaction releases the energy that powers everything you do. It's a vital process happening constantly in every one of your cells. So what happens when our villain, cyanide, shows up? It makes a beeline for that critical enzyme and binds to it permanently. It's like shoving the wrong key into a car's ignition and then snapping it off. The right key can never get in again. The entire energy engine is just broken. And this leads to a terrifying result that scientists call cellular suffocation. Now, the strangest part, a person's blood can be full of oxygen, but they feel like they're suffocating. And why is that? Because all those cellular engines in their body have completely shut down. They simply can't use any of that oxygen to create energy. Now, with a problem this severe, is there a solution? Well, of course there is, and it comes from an incredibly smart chemical design, which brings us to the hero of our story. Scientists faced this fascinating challenge. Could they design a new chemical that, to gold, looks and acts exactly like cyanide, but to our body's cellular engines, it's completely invisible? That was the core idea behind this new, much safer gold leaching agent. And the secret to making this work? It all comes down to the chemical bonds holding the molecule together. Let's take a look at how this design solved the problem. The key difference is the bond type. See, cyanide uses a weak ionic bond. Think of it like 2 magnets that just easily separate in water, releasing the toxin. The new agent is way smarter. It uses a strong covalent bond, which is like locking the toxic part onto the molecule with a heavy iron chain. No matter how much you shake it, it cannot break free. The brilliance is really in the design. The branches of the molecule are for dissolving gold, but they're all securely fastened by a powerful covalent bond at the center. It's a permanent lock, so the toxic part can never escape to attack our cells. It's effective for gold, but harmless to people. Just a simple and elegant solution. And just when you think the story is over, there's one more brilliant twist. The designers of this new chemical even managed to turn the unavoidable impurities from the manufacturing process into a major advantage. This is so clever. The product contains these tiny, trace amounts of insoluble materials, mostly iron oxides. And what's amazing is that the presence of these iron oxides actually makes the entire molecular structure more stable and even less likely to break down. They essentially turned a potential flaw into an extra layer of safety. And there you have it. By simply changing the type of chemical bond, scientists solved a massive problem that has plagued the industry for over 100 years, making gold extraction safer for everyone. And that leaves us with a final thought. How many other hazardous chemicals that we use every day are just one clever redesign away from becoming safe? It's definitely something worth thinking about.